First time here,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, first time here. Yeah.
Welcome.
Wow. There's a lot of history in here.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll start here. Basically, this is N.H.S. This is Novak, Hout, and Sherman. That's the N, the H, and the S. And it breaks down three major components to the beginning of N.H.S, which is Santa Cruz skateboards, Road Rider wheels, and independent trucks. Those are the foundations of our company. He's still our sole owner. Yep, one of the founders. Still owns the company. Privately owned to this day. Still pops around all the time. And then H is Hout. Hout is a surfboard shaper. He actually works right over here next to us. You see him all the time too. And Sherman unfortunately passed away in 1979. So there's Doug right there. Doug's still out and about. Very famous surf shaper and surfer here in Santa Cruz and everywhere. Right behind you guys, this is one of the very first skateboards, skateboard number one, the very beginning of things. It's pultruded fiberglass. These guys at the time, Novak, Hout, and Sherman, were on 41st Avenue right here in Santa Cruz. And they were doing anything, you could cut pultruded fiberglass to make tops for cars. You could make things to carry things. They're doing all kinds of stuff. They're making anything they could. Their whole point was to make money so they could go surfing. Their buddy in Hawaii, who was he was a rep in Hawaii selling skateboard and surfboarding products, said, "Hey, I need 500 skateboards. Can you guys cut this skateboard out of pultruded fiberglass, screen print on it, and send us over 500 skateboards?" That was their very first order. That was the first one. One color screen print. They had another batch come back with two colors on the screen print. And that's the second batch. Here's their original first flyer with art by Jim Phillips. For their very first flyer of their skateboards. That started them in the skateboarding business. They started making pultruded fiberglass skateboards, selling them kind of locally. They built their first team in 1974, 75. These are all local kids.
In Santa Cruz?
In Santa Cruz and Aptos, all the towns around here. This is Tim Pimarta. He still works here to this day. He's one of the longest running employees. Team rider at first, and he also became, he runs the research and development. He's done all kinds of innovations in skateboarding, different concaves, trucks, bearings, wheels. He's come up with many innovations in skateboarding. The original first team shirts were airbrushed down from the boardwalk. Team riders, they do demos all over. Some of the demos they were doing here.
It's in
That's Tim right there. 1974, yeah. The very first skateboard ad they had in skateboarding magazine. So this is about 74, 75. When the first ad came out. Something happened right about that time in skateboarding. That was the urethane wheel that came out. So they got into the wheel game. This is the very first mold for Road Rider wheels. This is the very first wheel they made. It's a root beer color. This line was the Road Rider 4s. They had 6s, 2s, and they made riser pads as well. That got them into the wheel game. So they're still making skateboards. They started making wheels. And we'll talk about what happened in wheels here in a minute. They came back to their friend Jimmy Phillips again, like, hey, we need a logo. So Jimmy, this was the first kind of shirt that he did. Quickly after this, he adopted this logo, which is basically based on the California Highway Patrol logos. They started doing ads, some original logos, patches, original decks from people with Road Riders on them. So Santa Cruz Skateboards at the time was one of the best at how fast and how it had some of the best riders. They had different events everywhere, Colorado, Ohio, here in Capitola, Catalina. They had the best and the fastest team at the time. These are all their team riders here. It was all about speed. They also did these speed cars. This is the Stroker speed car.
Oh, is it a car? Oh, yeah.
Actually, yeah, you sit inside of it and they push you down a hill. So it was all about going fast. They dominated in speed. Some original helmets. This is Judy Oyama's board. She still skates. She's one of the women's nationals. She's maybe 63 years old. She still lives here in Aptos. I see her all the time. She still competes in world events. She's number 3 in the world at downhill. This is her actual board here from the Capitola Classic. Some more original Jim Phillips drawings all along the way here.
So this skateboard is hers?
Yep, that's actually her board. Yep, her actual setup from this event. So at the time, Speed was the thing. It was going how fast you could go. We had the fastest human in the world was John
Oh,
Hudson.
is that a 53?
Yeah, 53.4 miles an hour. He went in 1977 at Signal Hill. This is his signature tuck move here. This is the actual board.
Yeah.
This is a special made honeycomb board. It's very light. Special made wheels.
The big wheel.
The giant wheels. His actual setup. The way they would pitch the trucks too, forward.
Yeah.
It would stop from speed wobbles. So he held this record till 1991.
1991.
Yeah, he was the fastest person in the world on a skateboard. What corner? So it's 1975, 76. They didn't really have a logo yet. This is some other boards they had. This wood burn board. They're doing some other shapes. Trying to find some logos along the way. They turned back to their friend Jimmy. Said, hey, we want to do a Santa Cruz logo. These are some of his original sketches right here.
Yeah.
A couple random sketches. He kind of got to this point where it was the Santa Cruz strip. He started doing it like this. Jay Sherman came to him and said, hey, let's take this and break this up. Santa Cruz like that.
Yeah.
And that was their logo. It's about 77, 78 right now, and they start to get really, skateboarding's very big.
Yeah.
They start a distribution house where they could sell trucks, wheels, clothing, anything for skateboarding. They became a real business at that point. They started doing other shapes and constructions, trying to figure out like how to do block tails. They're the first ones to do 5 plies of veneer, where before it was just like cut out of one block of wood. So they invented the 5 ply, the 7 ply, fiberglass boards. They started to do all different kinds of construction and shapes and sizes for different kinds of skateboarding. At the same time, they're sponsoring a lot of different teams. Every local skate park had multiple teams. They would sponsor multiple teams. These are some of the original jerseys, some of the original team riders. About 77, 78, the big rider for them at that time was Steve Olson. He was Skateboarder of the Year in Skateboarder magazine in 1980. This is actually his board that he won a couple contests on, his actual shorts, the padding and the hips. He was the biggest rider at the time. Skateboarding changed really quickly in 77, 78. In California, there was a big drought. There was no water. So in Southern California, they had to drain all the pools, and it opened up a whole different kind of skating, pool skating. So boards changed from this to this almost overnight. Like the size went from skinny to big. This was going downhill fast. This was skating pools. It changed really quickly. So this was a big pool contest. One of the big first pool contests was the Hester Series. It was actually sponsored by Santa Cruz and N.H.S. This is where independent trucks first came out. The guys at San Francisco, Ermico, and the guys at N.H.S. had met at Signal Hill in 1977. The guys up in San Francisco were doing the speed cars racing, while Santa Cruz guys were doing downhill skateboarding. They came together and started to build a truck, the independent truck, which we'll get to. This was the first contest where actual riders were riding independent trucks. There was logos there. It blew everybody away. All the top riders who won at those contest series were all independent riders. So it's about 78, 79 what's happening in skateboarding is lots of people are trying to build skate parks. They're building skate parks like crazy. They're trying to make it kind of like drop your kids off, skate. The equipment wasn't as good as the parks they were building, so people were getting hurt. You're breaking your arms. The equipment wasn't working very well, so insurance said enough of that, and they started to like close down. So all the parks basically closed overnight. The magazine, we used to get Skateboarder magazine, which was skateboarding exclusive. Became just Action Now. They put BMX, surfing, everything all in one magazine. It really like dropped off really quickly. 1980, skateboarding business went under.
Went down.
Totally. Novak only had 3 employees after that. He took the raw materials that he had and basically came up with the Jammer skateboard, which was taking all the old pieces he had, put them together, and it would make completes at under $50, a really good complete. This basically started the next generation of skateboarders. Skateboarding was this skateboard right here. Good price, good skateboard. It's slowly skateboarding's kind of trying to make its way back up. It's very underground. Punk rock music is happening about the same time. There's no magazines. So Novak and the guys at San Francisco decided we're gonna make our own magazine. So they started Thrasher magazine. And Novak to this day still owns a good chunk of Thrasher magazine. They're connected. So these are all the original large format Thrasher magazines, some of their knickknacks. So skateboarding's picking up again a little bit slowly. They came back to their friend Jimmy and said, we need to do more art on our skateboards. Art at the time was very much real, just like, you know, letters and stripes and real simple kind of stuff. Jimmy had a studio at his house down the street here, and a bunch of artists that he had that worked there. And he started drawing skateboards for Santa Cruz Skateboards. One of the first pieces of art was the dragon, right here.
Yep.
And the stinger came out. And what Jimmy started to do was he started giving like Dwayne or Olson, he started giving like personalities. Dwayne always had the stripes.
Yep.
Olson always had the checkerboard.
Yep.
And it really got going when he did the Roscoe boards.
But it's getting more wider.
Yes, wider, the shapes are getting, they're more concave now. You'll see too, like this bevel is the first skateboard with a real concave and a nice tail. They're not just flat anymore. They start obviously getting like finger grips and wheel wells, started to like really pan out and do more different, cooler kind of things. So Rob Roscoe, the very first Rob Roscoe, this is the original first graphic before it became a graphic. Jim redrew that and basically became
All this.
Started with this one, the second one, the third one. He started to give graphics like a life, and so people were waiting for what's next, what's coming after this. Original Malbas, original Malba art. These are all original decks and original illustrations from the time period. His actual board from the Meekster board right here. This is Meekster stuff. Here you start getting like original drawings.
From Jimmy?
Yeah, these are all Jimmy's. It's original Jeff Kendall drawing by Jim Phillips. Original pencil sketch for the toy box right here. Super beautiful.
Yep.
Inking for Jeff Grasso. Another strike off here. Inking for the Klaus Krapke is amazing. This pencil sketch of the pumpkin board is really beautiful. So it's definitely like 87, things are really picking up again. There's original Corey Bryan, Jeff Kendall graffiti, full-size art. Nodis is about this time period too. There's a couple different versions of Nodis boards. The original Jim drawing. The 50 years of curiosities. Basically this is like innovation and this is promotion. These are all the kinds of things that we've done over the years from the original first like concave deck to cruise missile concaves. All of our concaves and innovations are wheel innovations. We're the first ones to have bent screens to screen print. First one to have Everslicks. These are mold injected boards. We tried to come up with the idea of non-wood skateboards. This is early 80s. We also tried it again in the 90s with the new wood, non-wood skateboards. They're it's hard to come by. Doesn't always work. This section is basically just like some of the things we've tried to do, or they tried to do some shoes in the 80s. There's some examples of what they were thinking about. Lots of different magazines. They made Strange Notes, Promotion, Road Rash Comics, some of our collabs. This is the new one out here. The Pokemon's out now. Star Wars was one of the first big ones we did. Bart Simpson and the Simpsons was huge. These behind you are all hand-painted contest banners from the 70s. So they're still around. More original inkings. All the original Roscoe inkings. These are all done by Jim. He did things very big, so you could size them down. This was actually on a skateboard, so he drew it big and then sized it down, so you get all the detail. Original Salva art, t-shirt strike off here. These are poster proofs for Soy and Kindle. Some more poster proofs. This is for a comics book that Jim did. Super amazing. This is the original Street Creep
amazing
piece of art. Jim was a perfectionist. He would constantly work. He'd work all night. He would redraw stuff. It wasn't ever good enough for him. He was constantly working. So this is, I think, one of the coolest parts of the company. This is our production department.
Our production department.
We can't make everything here.
Yeah.
We make so much stuff, but this is where we can test things, we can make things, we can
So these
approve
are the
them.
clothing.
So these are some of our prints. We do test prints and some of our other bigger prints here. A lot of the original decks up here on the walls. It's not everything, but it's a good chunk of stuff. We do sewing, we do wheel pad printing, laser cutting, all kinds of stuff in here. I said we work in the art department, so we can do stuff over there. We come over here, work with these guys to get it dialed in, whether it's pad printing or screen printing. It's nice to have that.
Yeah.
Lots of memorabilia on the wall here. I mean, everything you look at is all original. We just built a brand new skate park.
Oh, skateboard.
Oh,
You skateboard?
Yes, absolutely. My whole life.
Whole life. Oh.
My whole life. Since I was 13. This is brand new. We built this a couple months ago. We've been kind of keeping it quiet until our big 50th anniversary party was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. How was it?
Oh, fantastic.
We
had
There's
3 days.
A lot of skateboard.
Oh, crazy skateboarding, yeah. Amazing stuff. It went really well. We had 3 days. We had a Jim Phillips documentary, a film on Thursday night. We had a big party here.
Yeah.
We had a whole day of skate events and a music event on Saturday. Super fun. But this place is super rad, super fun. We built this deck up here. Very nice.
Very nice.
This is our skate park.
Yeah.
We just built. Hey,
What's
give
up,
a tour.
dude?
How you doing?
Nice.
Dave Frill runs production here. Been here for
okay.
35 years. 35?
Yeah, 39.
39. Yeah, you're almost 40. Almost 40. All right. Almost 40 years. Been here.
4 years.
Yeah, it's amazing.
A long time.
Dave was the guy who actually kept everything.
Oh, okay.
He was the only person who kept all this stuff.
Oh.
Nobody kept
He
decks.
managed all of the stuff, right?
He kept everything.
Oh, okay.
We wouldn't have a museum without Dave. He kept every little piece of stuff. When Jim would throw all of his art away in the trash, he would dig it out of the trash and bring it back up. So now we have an archive because of him.
It's a very big archive.
Lots of fun around here, huh?
Yeah.
This is a pretty amazing little spot.
Yeah.